there are so many people in my window, and they can like all see me do this. So BBC is kind of like the CW of England. It's adventurous and exciting. It's got good popular TV shows that really did a cycle on Tumblr. BBC has given us so many shows that have just been so popular in the queer community, like Sherlock, Our Flag Means Death.
Merlin? Merlin! 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 Merlin!
Is he there when he's really angry?
And Merlin. If there's one thing anybody knows about me, it's how much I love Merlin. I mean, I have a framed picture of them right there and all down my wall. It's pretty embarrassing. BBC Merlin is a show that ran from 2008 to 2012. So this was like prime Tumblr era, and it was really popular because what's better than a fun, adventurous, comedic fantasy show with English heritage and gay people? I say that lightly, please don't bully me in the comments. BBC Merlin was a big part of my childhood and a lot of people my age, especially in England, and it was just such a fun show that you didn't really have to think too much about until it ended and broke all of our hearts. But the thing is, I only really got back into it as an adult because first year of uni, I was like, I want a nostalgia kick, and it's been over a year now and here I am, still talking about it. So it's only in retrospect that I guess I really looked back on the show after rewatching it more than once. I have the gorgeous box set right there. And I was like, oh my god, I do not remember it being this homosexual. BBC especially back then was on its really big queer baiting, let's not say gay kick, as we know from Sherlock.
I'll get a candle for the table, it's more romantic.
I'm not his date.
Just so you guys know, this is obviously going to contain spoilers for the show of Merlin, so if you haven't seen it, then you don't have to watch this video, but also it ended in 2012, catch up. So without further ado, because I've neglected this channel for a very long time, here is a ramble video about the gayest things I remember from the show, because BBC Merlin is so much gayer than we remember. In case you don't know, the show BBC Merlin follows the main character, Merlin, who is a young sorcerer in disguise trying to navigate his life through Camelot while serving his king Arthur, and they develop a sort of enemies to friends, lovers trope going on. Currently in Camelot, magic is banned, so what better place to send your closeted sorcerer son than Camelot? I love Huneth, but I don't love this decision. So Merlin travels all the way to Camelot from his very distant village called Yaldor, and he essentially bumps fairly quickly into Arthur in the first episode, who at this time in the series is just a prince. He's not yet a king, and he's not even crown prince yet. That comes a little bit later. Bumping into each other, Merlin gets a bad first impression because he sees Arthur being a bully, and he is not vibing with that, okay? And we stan an anti-bullying king. Well, not a king, but you know. This is where the very first gay moment happens. That's right, in the first episode, the first meeting between these two characters.
Tell me, Merlin, do you know how to walk on your knees? No? Would you like me to help you?
I wouldn't if I were you.
Why? What are you going to do to me?
You have no idea.
Okay, boys, get a room.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god! What is that?
So then they get into a fight which leads Merlin to be arrested for the night. The next day, Merlin is released, and he just so happens to run into Arthur again, and what is the completely normal way to address a man you now know as the Prince of Camelot? You get in another fight with him, except this time, Arthur starts it.
How's your knee walking coming along? Oh, don't run away!
From you?
Oh, thank God. I thought you were deaf as well as dumb.
Look, I've told you you're an ass. I just didn't realise you were a royal one. Oh, what are you going to do? Get your daddy's men to protect you?
I could take you apart with one blow.
I could take you apart with less than that.
You sure?
This immediate innuendo is so funny to me because as a kid you watch it and you don't think anything of it, and obviously if you're not purposefully reading it in a queer context, you'll probably watch it and be like, they mean a punch, because of course they mean a punch, they're in the middle of a fight. But you know, that's quite a lot for the first. I mean, come on, you guys. Get a room that isn't a dungeon, preferably, okay? Jumping into later in the series, we have another favorite innuendo type moment of mine, and it's not quite an innuendo in the term of words and phrases. It's more about questionable actions here, which quite difficult to explain, quite frankly. The first case is when Merlin gets poisoned in the poison chalice, and he does so on purpose to protect Arthur because he's trying to prove a point to the court that the cup is poisoned and therefore Arthur shouldn't drink it. So Merlin is unconscious and feverish, and simultaneously there's like a duo plot moment because we see Arthur trying to find the Mortius flower to save him. While searching for the Mortius flower, Arthur goes into a dark cave as he's led there by Nimue, who is the season 1 villain. He's put into trouble when the bridge breaks, he's hanging on for dear life on a wall, and Merlin, being unconscious, uses his magic for Arthur. So Merlin sends a ball of light, essentially, to light the way for Arthur, which he doesn't really question, which is kind of shocking for, you know, a man who's raised in a kingdom to hate and execute sorcerers, but okay. So while Merlin is sleeping, he's unconsciously murmuring Arthur's name.
Arthur.
This can be explainable because, you know, you watch this and you're aware Merlin is only saying Arthur's name because he is unconsciously trying to help him, and he can presumably see what's happening to Arthur, and he worries more about Arthur's safety, quite frankly, more than his own. And, you know, you can watch that scene, you don't really think that much of it. I mean, Gaius and Gwen were probably very confused. They were probably like, this boy likes men. But at least Merlin's actions make sense. Except it happens again.
If I told you?
Merlin.
Merlin.
So this scene comes from, basically, Merlin has to find the last Dragon Lord, who, spoiler, happens to be his father. So Arthur is injured, and eventually they find their way to a cave where Balinor, the last Dragon Lord, resides. And Merlin is aware that this is his father, but Balinor is not aware of this, and neither is Arthur. They're about to have a moment, and this is a scene where you can tell that Merlin is about to confess to Balinor that they're related, or that it's a very heavy moment, and it's interrupted by Arthur straight up moaning Merlin's name. There is no plot explanation at all, and it is never brought up again. But I'm bringing it up. So I feel like even if you don't see this show as a necessarily queer show, or you don't necessarily like this pairing, there just still isn't a heterosexual explanation for this, and it drives me crazy trying to think of one, because what possible reason could the writers have had to write this? Were they really sat there like, how the hell do we prolong this confession? I don't know, just make Arthur moan something. That's not normal writing, you guys. There are a few more smaller innuendos that I do find really funny, and are generally just kind of jokes throughout the fandom, which I really like. For example, the totally normal thing to say to your manservant who you are angry at.
You've not had your breakfast this morning, have you?
I'll have you for breakfast!
Sure you will. Also, the fact that everyone in this Merlin universe seems to just generally accept the idea that Merlin is just always spending the night with Arthur.
Where is that half-wit? Merlin!
I thought he was with you, sire.
Don't try and cover for him.
He didn't come home last night. I can't find him.
I think is hilarious. Like, for example, this deleted scene.
Merlin!
What is it, my lord? Find me that dollop head. I have a council session to attend to. Does he expect me to dress myself?
Fetch Merlin from his chambers.
He's not there.
Check the armory.
I've done that.
And the stables?
No sign of him.
Where else could he be?
You tell me.
When did you last see him, my lord?
Last night!
This is around season 4 and 5 because this is when Arthur is now king and his uncle is an advisor to him, and his uncle is a dick Agravain. All my homies hate Agravain. One thing I do love about this is the fact that it's not just funny. You can also see that Arthur is genuinely really anxious and worked up at the idea of Merlin being missing, even though Merlin is missing all the time in the show and always comes back in one piece with some sort of tavern explanation. So what reason does Arthur really have to freak out at the idea of Merlin being gone for literally one morning? Other than, I don't know, I guess worrying that he's an alcoholic. And lastly, in the innuendos section, I don't know if it really counts as one, I just know it had to be mentioned in this video because everybody knows and loves poetry.
Merlin, tell Leon what we're doing.
I'm teaching him some poetry.
Poetry. I love poetry.
I was as surprised as you are. He can't get enough of it.
I'll leave you to your poetry then, my lord.
I love Leon. In case you didn't know, I love him. He is like a permanent third wheel to Mirtha's relationship, and I think that's beautiful. He does not even try. He's like, I'm not gonna question this. This is the kind of shit that they get up to. What the hell are Merlin and Arthur doing sneaking around at night alone together? Yeah, sure, poetry. Whatever you want to call it. Poetry.
Is there anything better than pussy? Yes, a really good book.
Category number 2, sexual tension. Whew, this is a big part of Merlin, and you wouldn't think so. You know, for a children's show. Well, being a children's show is questionable at the end when it breaks our hearts, because I'm sure they didn't want to traumatize an entire generation of children, but here we are. What's a little more trauma? There are many scenes I could have put in this, and the fact that I only chose 5? Shocking. But I didn't want to sit here for an hour, I can't lie. I've got things to do, like play Animal Crossing. My number 1 favorite scene in the whole show is the Feast of Beltane. Because first of all, I love a canonically pagan TV show. Pagan King Arthur. Okay. So to celebrate Beltane, Arthur's getting ready for a feast, and this is another King Arthur moment. So he's a little bit stressed, but you know, he's in the mirror, he's getting all pretty, because, you know, princess has got to look good. And we can see Merlin in the background fiddling with a belt, and we don't know why. Arthur's suspicious, and he walks over, and we can see him with no trousers on. And it turns out Merlin is trying to cut holes in his belt, because there's a running joke, which is a bit outdated. You know, we like body positivity on this channel, okay? Okay, BBC, I don't like the fat jokes. But anyway, Merlin is cutting holes in Arthur's belt because it is too small now, so he goes over to see what Merlin is doing, and they do the most sus actions they could possibly do here. You would expect that even after a long friendship, you know, they probably still wouldn't likely stare at each other's asses as much as they do, but hey, they've been doing it since the beginning, why not now?
What have you got there?
Nothing. My hand. My other hand.
Get a room, you guys. Well, I guess they did, but get a smaller one? The next one is the rat soup scene, and I know that sounds crazy. I know if you haven't seen the show and you have no idea what I'm on about, you're probably gonna see this and be like, what the hell is like sexually tense about rat soup? This scene is just, it's not only funny, it makes me giggle every time I watch it, but it's also the fact that Arthur and Merlin don't know what personal space is. They will get all up in each other's business, and in my opinion, not enough.
Come on. Take a seat.
eat.
That smirk. He's right here. I'm sorry, if I had someone that close to me, I would probably cry. There is no heterosexual explanation for that. Arthur doesn't even get that close to his own wife. Okay, this... Come on, you guys. Come on. In the last season, we see Merlin and Arthur briefly have a break. Thank gods, because those two need it. And we see Martha playing a betting game. It's with dice. Don't ask me what it's called, okay? Do I look like I play betting games? No, I just spend a lot of money on Etsy. This is in the tavern, surrounded by all of their good friends, all of the knights who we love so much. And the tension in this scene is so thick, you could cut it with a heated knife as if it's like an ASMR soap cutting video. Because that shit is thick and smooth. They do a lot of staring into each other's eyes in general in this show. For example, this. And this. And this. And this, and well, all of these. But they are crazy for this. Do you guys know what the definition of eye fucking is? Yeah, that. The eye contact does get hilarious sometimes and endearing other times, but almost always there is a third wheel. And again, Leon comes back because, guys, come on, you are lost in each other's eyes.
I'm not a fool.
That's debatable.
And I don't have any skills.
I know that, but we can't refuse the Queen when she's granted a safe passage, can we?
I mean, we literally just watched Leon awkwardly take away the jug, because he is not getting a drink anytime soon if these two keep eye fucking like they are in front of everybody in the banquet hall. There's not much explanation you can do, you know, just kiss already. I cannot tell you why I named the category this, but I did. There's a lot of scenes in this show where magic becomes a sort of euphemism for being gay, where it's hidden, it's not allowed, it's unnatural. And whenever they try to be suspicious about Merlin's magic in some way, it kind of comes off a different way at the same time. And some of these fit into the innuendos section as well, but I just kind of had to put them here because they did have a contextual explanation, but it really doesn't sound like it. For example, Gwen, very briefly, is evil. Sorry, I love evil lesbians. In simple terms, she's mind-controlled through Stockholm Syndrome by her girlfriend. She is trying to kill her husband, Arthur. Merlin knows. Merlin is fully aware, and he has this weird thing where he and Gwen are kind of back and forth trying to stop each other, but Arthur doesn't know. Bless his cotton socks, he is thicker than fudge, okay? I love him so much, and he is precious, but oh my god. So they're being sketchy around it because Merlin doesn't want Arthur to know that he knows that Gwen is evil. Gwen doesn't want Arthur to know that she's evil, because if Arthur finds out, Merlin's secret will probably be out too. And you know, that's just death all around, and that's not fun. At least, not for Merlin, I guess. So when Merlin is away, because Gwen tried to kill him, we have this darling scene.
He's gone to visit someone.
Who?
He's not in danger. He's seeing a girl.
Merlin.
Gaius, I'm sorry, but there is no reason to worry.
Except for the poor girl.
That's right, guys. Arthur is shocked that Merlin was seeing a girl. And on the surface, you're like, ha ha ha. It's because Merlin gets no bitches. But it's more than that. Mostly because of this line.
Why don't you tell us all about her? Right. And why you're walking with a limp?
I can't believe, in our good year like 500 AD, Arthur would bottom shame his boyfriend. This is just such a blatantly gay line, and it's kind of shocking to me because it's the way it's delivered. Because yes, there isn't necessarily an explanation why Merlin would have a limp from seeing a girl, and it makes sense that Arthur would question it. But it's the way he says it is so teasing, as if he knows why, and bless you, baby girl, you do not know why, okay? But he's trying, and he's like, well, obviously Merlin isn't a sorcerer, that's crazy. Merlin's just getting railed, I guess. And he's like so chill about it, like he's thought about it. He has definitely thought about it. That is a man who has thought about it.
Many hours later.
So a lot of the scenes in this category are ones that I feel have a plot explanation, but did it really badly, so much so that it just looks like a closeted man. But another example is with the Lamia, with the snake lady. So this lady basically is a evil, snaky thing. Not like the basilisk, but kind of like the basilisk. Essentially, she is a creature who disguises herself as a woman and seduces men through, I guess, magic. And by doing so, she creates a lot of conflict between the men, a lot of jealousy, and it not only protects her from harm, but it also allows her to prey on them, use her venom, kill them, snake stuff. So in this, we see all of the knights fall for the Lamia. But Merlin doesn't. Merlin knows exactly what he's dealing with eventually, after following the usual plot format of Merlin where, oh no, problem, let's look at the books.
According to the lore, according to the idiot.
Sorry, I like Supernatural too. Later, when he's explaining this to Gwen, who is holding her unconscious brother Elian, who was also affected by the Lamia, she asks, very intelligently, why Merlin wasn't infected. Because surely he should be. He was there, he dealt with them, he's had direct contact with her several times, but he's the only one who isn't venomy and comatose. Very clearly, plot-wise, the writers intended this to be a suspicious moment about his magic, because Guinevere is a very, very intelligent lady and she deserved better in this show. Clearly she's starting to figure it out a little bit, because she knows something is up with Merlin, because there was no logical explanation why it wouldn't work on him.
I don't understand it. Why have only the knights been enchanted? Why not us as well?
You're a woman.
So?
All the victims have been men.
So why haven't you fallen under her spell?
I've just been lucky, I suppose.
There must be a reason.
Maybe it's because I'm not a knight.
The three villagers weren't knights either.
Who knows?
There's something about you, Merlin.
Gwen fully heard that, stared back at him, and in her head she's like,
Hey, you haven't returned any.
You are gay!
because it just sounds like he's saying that he isn't into women. And it took me way too long to remember, oh, it sounds gay because he's talking about magic. It's a euphemism. Magic is a euphemism for gay people. That's pretty common, by the way, you guys. And I love the supportive parents throughout this show. Not Uther. All my homies hate Uther. He's the worst. But Huneth, Merlin's mother, is so supportive of her gay son. She loves Merlin with every fibre of her being, and I love her even more. She says some really sweet things like these.
Same for any village, that's just the way he is.
It's more than that. He's here for you.
I'm just his servant.
Give him more credit than that. He likes you. I've seen how much he needs you. How much you need him. You're like two sides of the same coin.
I've heard someone say that about us before.
Which is so sweet, because she's not only trying to reassure her son that he does mean more to Arthur than he thinks, but also she's like, I see what's going on there. And I would just like to add that historical fact moment in the medieval era, which is pretty much when this is set, two sides of a coin meant something different for From a modern writing perspective, obviously we know that this means it's two different sides of one kind of person, you know, it's like two people are very similar, is what they're saying, but different at the same time. That's not what it meant back then. See, peasants couldn't afford to use wedding rings and have official ceremonies, so to get married, they had to make do with what they had, and so they would use a coin and split it into two. Therefore, one half would go to the husband and one half to the wife. And this was two sides of one coin, because two halves make a whole. And that was how they made their marriage official. And also, we cannot forget Gaius, who is done with their shit. Like, look how exasperated he is with these gay idiots.
What now, Merlin?
Arthur's in love.
And how did you cause that?
And who can forget Arthur himself, because he cannot escape the bisexual allegations. Here he is with his wife. They are meant to be honk me away, okay? They are honk snooing. And yet, he has one thing on his mind, while his wife is in his arms.
What's the matter?
Merlin.
And then bro just skedaddles. She is so chill with it, by the way. We love a supportive wife. She is just as bisexual as her husband, and they both know it. The closet is glass in this next category. This is the very blatantly gay category where essentially we just go through a few quick fire moments. There is a lot of jealousy and gay panic in this show, and it's just 5 seasons of it. It's perfect. Now here's a question for the group. Fellas, is it gay to propose to your manservant?
Yeah.
Arthur, I
Just take it.
The sigil is in a deleted scene where Arthur is giving his mother's sigil. His mother is dead. This is a very tender moment. He gives it to Merlin. They're sat by the fire. It is night. They have the canopy of stars above them, and it's very romantic. And Arthur thinks, I'm gonna propose to my boyfriend. And Merlin stares down at this sigil, which, by the way, would mean that if Arthur dies, he becomes king. Season 6 when? And considering the sigil has more precedence than the ring, Season 6 when? We also have just some funny small lines which are so questionable no matter what, which can be put down to their banter, but let's be real. What is banter if not flirting?
Sorry, what?
Oh, it's just subtext. But then again, you know, you can't spell subtext without sex.
One of my favorites is Arthur's dream of the future. He's on a date with Guinevere here. It's established they're in love with each other, okay? Like, they've established it to each other. And yet he's lying here with her on a picnic blanket, and she asks him, like, what his fantasy is, what his ideal dream life would be. And Arthur says this.
I don't know. Somewhere where nobody knew who I was. I'd get some land and become a farmer.
I can hardly see you toiling away in the field all day.
Obviously, I'd take Merlin with me. He can do all the hard work.
I'm sure he'd love that.
I mean, fellas, is it gay to tell your girlfriend that you'd rather run away and be away from every single person except your boyfriend? Just the fact that every night, and actually pretty much every character in this show is basically in love with Merlin is just so adorable. But like, Merlin is the biggest simp of them all, because what is this?
What is wrong with you today?
What?
Like, come on, you cannot put that in and not make us question it. Come on. Like, there are just so many moments where Merlin is like, I have an idea. I'm gonna take off Arthur's clothes. Whoa, dude, chill the fuck out. Oh my god. Their council are so used to it that when this happens, nobody is batting an eye. Agravain is so used to it, he is watching these guys like, for fuck's... Bruh. Merlin could have used his magic to create a distraction, or even just sneak the keys away, because he has done that earlier in the show, but no. He's like, you know what? I gotta double check that Arthur is double cheeked. Bro, the shock I am in watching this show. Oh my god, and these are listed from the top of my head, and I think that says a lot on its own, okay? Finally, tender moments, which this show does very well, by the way. I feel like a good segue onto the next category is this just beautiful scene, okay? I want to be loved like this. And by the way, I didn't edit that. That slow zoom, the cut from Arthur watching his happy nights zooming into Merlin's face. I study film at university. I'm very good at knowing what a shot means. And this scene is so stereotypically romantic. Because here we have Arthur staring at a beautiful scene of his knights all having a laugh, having a nice time before war, and it is a sad, emotionally charged scene. Through the slow track inwards towards Merlin, it is shown that Arthur's attention is solely on his manservant, despite being surrounded by his closest friends. Merlin is all he cares about. And he's watching Merlin laugh and smile and joke about, and that brings a smile to Arthur's face. And yet when Merlin sees Arthur, Merlin's mood changes, because my boy thinks it's unrequited. That shit is the most romantic thing I've ever seen. There are so many just tiny moments that I feel I should end the video with, because it just warms my heart.
I'm as worried about Merlin as you are.
I'm going to change my mind.
The patrol's found no sign of him.
Do you really expect me to accept that? Just to sit here and take their word that Merlin's gone? I won't rest until I at least try.
And this one includes more than just Merlin and Arthur, because I can't bring myself to only talk about them when I love so many other homosexuals in this show. For example, one of my favourite ships is Perwain, which is Percival and Gawain, two of the knights. It's a fairly popular ship, and pretty much all of the knights are shipped together. Every pairing you can think of within the knights, including Arthur and Merlin, it's been written about. As it should. And these two are just so cute. Look at this.
Never knew you cared.
I just love them, and the fact that that kind of scene where one falls on the other is literally a parallel of Arthur and Gwen. Like, you can't deny that. And then, because they hate us in this show, it also parallels this scene.
Gwen.
Arthur. Hey. No. Arthur.
Arthur!
Because the writers of BBC Merlin just hate joy. And it breaks my heart so much every time. But it's not just Gawain and Percival. As I mentioned, they are shipped with everyone in that group.
You're the bravest of us all, and he doesn't even know.
Yeah, not as quick as Arthur.
Oh, yeah?
There is so much unrequited love in this show. Does anyone get to feel joy? Ever? I mean, canonically, no. Generally, this show just makes every possible ship so tender. And I think that's kind of beautiful, because even though we are sick of queerbaiting, I'm looking at you, Sherlock, I have to admit, this show does it pretty well, because, first of all, they don't queerbait us, necessarily. Reminder, guys, to queerbait, they actually have to imply it would happen. They didn't do that. I might make a video on that, to be honest, because I feel like we need to discuss what queerbaiting is.
We had a bonding moment. I cradled you in my arms. Nope, don't remember. Didn't happen.
Also, it's just really nice to have a show where so many characters care so deeply for each other that it doesn't really matter if it's heterosexual or homosexual or anything, because it's just nice to see healthy, loving companionship between so many characters. Arthur and Merlin, obviously being the center of this video for me, they have a lot of tender moments with each other, such as, you know, all of their eye contact. They always seem to catch each other's eye from across the room, and that is, by the way, a #1 romance trope, because I have seen that in so many straight romance films that it was not shocking to me when I saw it in this show. It just melted my heart, to be honest, because no matter what their relationship is, they mean so much to each other that it's just so much more than any label we could give it. And that, my friends, is the gayest of all. This is a joke. Please don't bully me. They're always caring for each other. And very clearly they pay a lot of attention to each other's emotions, what they're going through, and they can pretty much read each other like an open book.
You feeling all right, Merlin?
Quite, my lord.
Only more and more I find your face resembles the back end of a cat. See, you don't even laugh at my jokes anymore, seriously. I haven't seen you smile these past 3 days.
Every touch that Merlin seems to give him is so emotionally charged that even if you don't want to read Arthur as bisexual as most of us do, which is fine, you can read them how you want, it's kind of hard not to look at Merlin's actions as something deeper than friendship and companionship, because you can argue they're brothers, but sibling relationships are not very strong in this show. It actually is heartbreaking, and I hate them for this. Arthur is dying, and Merlin chooses to hold him dearly. I mean, quite often we see Merlin caressing Arthur in some way when he's worried about him. We have at the very end, Merlin cannot bear to let go of Arthur. This scene actually mirrors Purwain's moment when Gwen dies, because again, they are holding each other so lovingly, and it's just so heartbreaking. Honestly, I could talk about this for hours, and I know I haven't posted in like a year. I've been very distracted. I don't have a good excuse. So I thought, you know, why not just bite the bullet and just make something, because I really want to get into making more stuff like this and more things than just movies, but I will be making more of those. And I thought, what better way to introduce you guys to me as a person outside of filmmaking other than ranting about my favorite TV show. So I guess the best way to sum up BBC Merlin would be gay, do crime. See you guys later.